Hello and welcome along to Aston Villa from the stands. Welcome to a show, plenty of news to bring you tonight, and of course a bit of reaction from the Brighton game last night. But if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn that notification bell on. It massively helps me out, and get in the comments on all the stories that we're going to be discussing today. Big up to every single one of you. I hope, and you should be feeling well, Villa fans. You should be feeling well because after what we witnessed yesterday, last night, an emphatic 3-0 win against what I would call 12-man Brighton. Yeah, a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but everyone knows we were up against the officials last night with some disgraceful VAR. It is unbelievable how that penalty still wasn't given. I'm sure we're all thinking the same. But hope everyone is good. Hope everyone is well. And of course, let's get into this live stream tonight. And do feel free, of course, to get in the comment section and share your thoughts and opinions on this. But the big news that we're going to bring tonight, again, is these contract situations. And I do get worried coming into a transfer window where it is among us and Aston Villa players are hitting form and good form. People are starting to take note of us again, and clubs are starting to infest the transfer rumour. And yeah, you may say it's still too early for transfer rumours, a lot of seasons to go. That's why we're going to be talking about the Brighton. But I'm here to bring you some of the news and reaction to all things in the football. And so without further ado, let's get into this first story. And it is a big one because it's a two-pronged attack, really. And we can quickly talk about this guy because we need to. Let's start on Boubacar Kamara. Boubacar Kamara. Wow. This guy. How incredible is he? How good was he last night as well for Aston Villa against Brighton? This guy is the metronome of the team. This guy is the heartbeat of the team. And this guy is worth every bit of wage that we want to give him. Remember, he was a free agent. Remember, we were blessed from him by Steven Gerrard. Well, it's time now to look at what this guy can do because this is the news coming out. And I've seen quite a few sources post this, by the way. Not just a one-off. So Aston Villa are set to offer Kamara a historic contract, the likes of which have never been seen in the club's history. Now we talk about, where Villa are going in terms of the wage bill. We talk about the fact that PSR. We talk about the fact of financial fair play. But this screams absolute volumes to me that the hierarchy and Unai Emery know how invaluable this guy is. And the reason why we are talking about Kamara today is because I am worried about how good this guy is. And I'm worried about the fact that if he does not sign this new contract extension, we could lose him this summer. And the reason why I fear that is because the rumours, the noise, the circulation of his name is getting everywhere. And this is a story broken again today by a very good source, and I will come to that as well, about the fact that this is the state of play. And we all know with Aston Villa being in the Champions League, being on this grand scale, this European stage, more eyes are on our players, more eyes are on the performances, and more eyes are on certain individuals. And this is where I'm at with it. Again, this is the source there. Have a look at this. So it's understood that multiple elite European clubs are interested in signing Boubacar Kamara during the up-and-coming summer transfer window. And if you want to see the source, just to be alarmed, okay, it is from a source here called Foot Mercato, 4.4 million followers, okay, and it is the leading media on football news in France. Of course, we're not talking about in England, but with that in mind, with Kamara being a French player, this narrative is going to be pushed by these French outlets. And why I say that is because we obviously go to Paris and play PSG very soon, in fact, next week. And this media narrative of pushing Boubacar Kamara is going to be massive. In fact, I am convinced by the end of next week, we will see a story saying PSG have started discussions with Boubacar Kamara about a possible transfer, something like that. So it comes back to that main point now. If Aston Villa are willing to give this guy a historic contract, a contract that we've never seen before, basically being our highest paid player and blowing our wage bill structure, and the likes of what we talk about with Asensio and Rashford, can't we afford their wages? This guy seems to be invaluable. And I want to know everyone's opinions on Kamara. I think now, I thought Emi Martinez was probably our most important player in terms of hard to replace. I actually believe now Kamara is what I would probably say is our Mr. Irreplaceable. There has been no coincidence. Aston Villa's form, Aston Villa's defensive structure has been so much better since this guy's in the team. And I implore anyone to tell me who is a better out and out defensive midfielder than Kamara right now. Where are they in Europe? Who are they? And what are they bringing to the table? So I want to know your thoughts on that, whether it's here live or on replay. Big up to Mark Quick, who's exactly bang on. Said media selling our players as usual. And this is the problem being not in the cartel Sky top six. Everyone thinks that they can come and pinch our players. Everyone thinks that they can come in and steal the likes of Aston Villa, most elite players. And I'll say it again, being on a more global stage, playing in the Champions League has generated lots and lots of interest. And we talk about that phrase again here in this one. We talk about this phrase. We talk about the phrase multiple elite European clubs. So we're not just looking at England, we're looking across Europe. And I'm talking that Kamara is going to be eyed by your Real Madrids, by probably none other than your Juventuses, your Bayerns. And now, again, I worry about the PSG sort of situation. So, yeah, interested to know people's thoughts on that one and Kamara situation. But for me, he's invaluable. He is Aston Villa's best player. He is generating massive interest for a reason. But the one thing I'd probably say is people are actually sleeping on him in the Premier League. I think rival fans do not realise how good this guy is. And that is something that I want to keep at bay. By the way, big up to my mum and my dad, big up to the Vamos VJ as well. So like, share, and subscribe to AVS for top Villa content. I appreciate it. And my dad goes on to say that, again, Villa had a good second half, but really need to perform for the full 90 plus 80. And I agree, consistency, but we're finding that winning formula in the second half. That's all I care about. Super Matty's in the house. Big up to him. He says, he is that good. I am worried at the Villa. Exactly that. Exactly that. There's no beating around the bush, right? And Michael Dimmick comes in with saying a great point. We're elite now, so they can all jog on. We are performing to the standards and expectations we dream of, really, which is competing in trophies, trying to win trophies, and trying to qualify for Europe. I just know that the French media are going to twerk so hard for Kamara in the next few weeks. And the reason why I say that is because the French are very much accustomed, unlike the English media, are very much accustomed to trying to pull their own crop of players into their own league. Look at Ousmane Dembele, absolutely thriving in France, absolutely thriving over the love that he's been getting in Paris because he's a French national. And it tends to be that the French boys who go to PSG tend to do really well. Just think of the fact that even the likes of Messi, Neymar, the wrath they got from the French Parisians ultras were horrific. So Kamara being French, Kamara getting this interest, and the fact we've got to play them over two legs worries me. And as I said, this source today that reported this information, okay, is the leading French news source of football, okay, over 4 million followers on there. A pretty accurate account. So I don't know. I think that, as Super Matt said, he is that good and you should be worried. I think he is Mr. Invaluable. Crunchy's in the house says we need to be keeping these players. If we start dismantling this team now just because some big name wants them, then we have no ambition. The other worrying factor about Kamara is that he is a PSR dream. He costs £0. And that's where I get worried as well. He costs £0. He is a PSR dream for profit. He is 100% profit, and that is worrying. So yeah, I think you're right, Michael. I can see Villa dominating. Didn't the ultras give Mbappe a load of grief? So Mbappe was their sort of love, sort of child. They loved him. They took him under his wing for the first couple of seasons. And even when he threw a few strops with the management, even under the likes of Pochettino, they backed him. The reason when they turned on Mbappe was basically when he basically announced to the world he's going to Real Madrid. That was basically the most unkept secret in football, Mbappe to Real Madrid. So that's when they turned on him. Now, what I probably need to see from Kamara is a contract signed within the next couple of months. 100% we need to see a contract signed from Kamara in the next couple of months, and I think that will tell us that he's staying. If we have to long this contract situation out, if we're having to fight and negotiate for his contract, then you know what? That worries me. That worries me that we could have a turning point. So that is part one. And as I said, we will be getting into the Brighton game, but obviously just want to discuss some key news that is coming out of Villa. And again, as a channel, that's what we're sort of looking to do across the consistency of that. So yeah, I agree. John says people are only just realising how good Konsa is. The same with Kamara, 100%. People in England have only just taken note of Ezri Konsa because he's putting on an England shirt. That's the facts of it. And we know as Villa fans who our key boys are. We also know who's been Mr. Consistent. We know Konsa's been doing it for a few years. We know that Kamara's been doing it for a few seasons now. And we also know that the likes of, Leon Bailey aren't probably at the standard, where you've got a lot of neutral fans going, Bailey's amazing. Why is Bailey not playing? So there we go. Noel Kane in the house said, I've seen you on the football terrace. Yeah, it was my first time on there. Thoroughly enjoyed it, and hopefully do get invited back on. So yeah, that was a great opportunity. So yeah, we don't know the elite clubs as such; they're being protected. But what I can say, Crunchy, is the source came from France, big French outlet. I am going to be 100% certain that PSG are one of those elite clubs. The only name that always worries me when they come knocking is Real Madrid. That's the club. That's the club that worries me. When Real Madrid come knocking, you sort of wince. So, yeah, it's a hard one. So, that's the news on Kamara. As I said, please let me know your thoughts and feelings on him. Do you think he stays? Do you think we are good enough to say, hey, look, Boubacar, you know the project, you know the deal. Don't ever think about trying to, go elsewhere. Now, again, the English media, as we like to say, the English media. Oh, they do like to do some tricks on us. Well, look at what Ornstein's dropped. And tell you what, Matt Parker, with that comment, I've starred it. I'll definitely talk to you about that one as well in a second, my friend, because it's a great question. Yeah, let's see what we do. Let's see what we do here. This one annoys me because it's an Ornstein bomb. It's an Ornstein bomb. Now, we know that, look, the goats of transfers are the Fabrizios and the Ornsteins. And people always say, it's too early to talk about transfers. There's a season to happen. What people don't realise is a lot of contracts, deals and transfers are happening at this time. Please take note of Trent Alexander-Arnold. Please take note of that. Please take note of Mbappe last season. Top clubs get players in at this time before the window even starts because they want to get it done quickly before interest comes. So why do I take these Villa links seriously about players? It's because I know this is the business end. You ask anyone, any top agent, any top football club, business starts behind the scenes around now. Okay? Because you do not want to wait to the summer where it's gone home. That's where the best transfers are made now. So, yeah. So, look, the Ornstein bomb. David Ornstein. There are always clubs looking at Jacob Ramsey. Well, Morgan Rogers is generating some big admirers. Now, another uncomfortable conversation is ultimately Jacob Ramsey. And when I say uncomfortable, it is the biggest decision, again, Villa will have to make in terms of profit and sustainability, PSR, because Jacob Ramsey is a homegrown player. He's £0. We sell him on for a good fee. We've made another great bit of profit. Morgan Rogers may be getting these big admirers, but I think Morgan Rogers is very much in the Villa project and the Unai Emery era. But I do think there is a world, especially if we recruit out wide again, and with Rashford, that there's a world that Jacob Ramsey isn't a Villa player. And I would love to know everyone's thoughts and feelings on that. Jacob Ramsey, again, first of all, what would your valuation be of Jacob Ramsey? Because again, I hate using this club as an example, but Tottenham's name has always been linked to Jacob Ramsey. I also think it's the type of thing that Manchester United would go for. I think Manchester United have been linked to a Jacob Ramsey before. But Ornstein is absolutely dropping this bomb today. And whoever said it in the comments, that hasn't left my head. What are the English media doing? Why are they trying to drive our players away? As Ornstein, a big influence in this market. There are always clubs looking at Jacob Ramsey and Morgan Rogers generating some big ideas. He's not just dropping one Ornstein bomb. He's just doubling up. He's just doubled up on us and gone, do you know what? Have some of that. And predominantly what that does is it all of a sudden drives interest. It all of a sudden drives speculation on both Ramsey and Rodgers. And I know that we are going to have to sell in the summer. As a Villa fan, you need to accept that we're going to have to sell. But we're not just selling the likes of people, what they talk about, your Dendonkers of this world, or trying to get rid of a Coutinho. No. We're going to have to sell a big gun. We're going to have to sell a big gun. We're going to have another episode of Douglas Luiz and Moussa Diaby. Now, chat, let's talk about this again. Moussa Diaby and Douglas Luiz, how early on in that summer window did we get rid of them? Hence why I take these links seriously. Because if a player's leaving Aston Villa, they're going basically before the window, if not at the start of the window. 100%. 100%. And so I think Villa are trying to work out which player for which money can go. And I think Jacob Ramsey's name will be thrown into that hat. So, yeah, it's a really tough world because as Crunchy is sort of saying, we need more additions, not departures. But saying that, if we sell Kamara for a large sum, invest in better quality replacements, then I'll be okay with it. And that is the unfortunate thing, Crunchy. The unfortunate thing is our hands are tied. Our hands are tied. We simply cannot cope with PSR and financial fair play. We simply fall very close to that line. And for us to comply, we have to sell. If there was a world in which we were a Chelsea or a Man City or an Arsenal, we wouldn't have to sell. We would keep building. And that is why Monchi's role, Unai Emery's role, the scouting role is so important because we need to find the best value players out there for as little as possible who can come in and do a job. So I agree with Michael here. Rodgers is Unai's project player, 100%. Listen, Unai Emery put every little ounce of effort, every ounce of effort he could to sign in Morgan Rodgers in January. He was relentless with him. He would not let him go until we got him over the dotted line. I don't see Rodgers going. I personally think Ramsey goes if we have to get rid of a player to capitalise on PSR. So how much would we be willing to see a Jacob Ramsey go? VJ's in the house. He said tonight's like target's 30th. Big up the Vamos VJ. Can we hit that 30 likes? Run up the like button right now if you haven't done so. Super Matty has said Ramsey Jr. Jr. is meant to be better than both his brothers. Some gene pool that. Is that look, the Ramseys, wow. They're cooking like Gordon, aren't they? They're cooking like Gordon, and fair play to them. And look, at the end of the day, I don't want to see. I'll put this on record. I don't want to see Jacob Ramsey go, nor would I ever want to see Rodgers go. But if I had to take a hit on one of them, it would be Jacob Ramsey. And I think it's a sad state of affairs that this financial malarkey we have to compete in is awful, absolutely awful. So why are we talking about this? Because this isn't any phony. This isn't any, crappy source. This is David Ornstein. This is David Ornstein. And when David Ornstein drops these bombs, I worry. So I have to go off previous. I have to go off the fact that Douglas Luiz and Moussa Diaby went early on. I have to go off that Villa, if they're going to sell, will do it quickly because we want to be able to get the replacements in. We need to fall in line with PSR and FFP. It's going to be a tough one. And Villa fans are saying, but what if our Champions League money? What if we finish qualified? What if we win an FA Cup? Surely the revenue's there. Unfortunately, it's still not good enough at this current time for Villa. The finances and complications of football have always put Villa in handcuffs. And it's why I get so pissed off, so infuriated when I hear Chelsea fans moan about needing to spend more money. Oh, we need to spend more money on 9. What, the £1 billion boys get to do that? Man United, the same. Arsenal, 750 million Arteta spunked, and they're still moaning about they don't have a 9. It really pisses me off when we get these bigger clubs moaning, crying about needing to spend more money. And there's Villa going, hey, before we can buy, we need to sell. And we're not just selling our jokers, and no offence to these type of players, but the Callum Chambers who used to be in our squad, or the Dendonkers. We're actually talking about big name ballers. So there we go. So what have we got here? Cheering on dusty Spurs this evening, 100%. Spurs lineups looks good. Let's just hope Chelsea have a bit of a shocker. Maresca still is a fraud in my eyes. FFP is a mess. Chelsea just bought their women's team to save them from FFP. Exactly, Fraser. It's corrupt. It's a mess. And Villa are absolutely struggling with it, Fraser. And big up to you. Hope the editing and grind's going well on your shorts, buddy. And yeah, awful tackle from Tarkowski last night as well. We have some good players out on loan who may be sold for PSR, like Enzo, Barron, Ilin Jr. Exactly that, Matt Parker. Exactly that. We still want Chelsea to buy. Yeah, exactly, Crunchy. It's all corrupt. Sell the North Stand to Adidas. Look, we're going to have to find loopholes. To be honest, we were loophole FC, weren't we, in the summer? The Lewis Dobbin deal, the Amari Kellyman deal. I mean, two names right there, okay? Let's just pause for a second. This just sums up how nuts our summer transfer window was. Remember the names Lewis Dobbin and Amari Kellyman? Massive part of Villa transfer business to keep us clear of PSR. It's absolutely nuts what goes on in that situation, isn't it? Absolutely nuts how we get into these worlds where, quite simply, transfers have become more than just, straight out, I want to buy this player for this much. Can he come and play for me? And is that okay? There's so many other sort of loopholes to it. So there we go. But look, the story is, as I said today, as a French media outlet, a very, very good French media outlet, has talked about twofold with Kamara. Number one is Villa want to give this guy a historic contract, a historic wage bill. I'm interested to know how big they're willing to go on him to get him to sign. The other side of it is elite European clubs are interested in Kamara. This, in the smaller scale of things, could this be a Mo Salah Van Dijk situation where we're seeing and we're waiting? Are you going to sign Kamara as well? I'll be honest, we don't get much from Kamara in interviews. We don't really get to know too much about Boubacar, apart from he's a bloody good footballer and he's a class act. But he's not one who is put in front of the microphone much. So we have to wait and see. And look, I just want to know why the English media are doing this. This whole Ornstein thing's really pissed me off when I saw that. It's actually about driving interest, because this could be fake news. 100% Ornstein could be pushing fake news here about Ramsey and Rodgers. But someone somewhere, whether it's someone trying to buy them or whether it's Aston Villa trying to sell one of them, has told Ornstein to push the story out. This doesn't come from anywhere. And that's why I say, if you're trying to sell a player, you've got to push it out. And I keep going back to Moussa Diaby and Douglas Luiz. If you remember, around this time of the season, there was talk about Diaby being unhappy at Villa and driving that narrative away. And then Douglas Luiz, will he sign a deal? Will he extend his contract? So, it's got to be done. And do you know what, Matt Parker? This is exactly what I was thinking I was going to come on to. Something big has to secure this guy. Now, again, you all know my opinions on John McGinn. I don't see John McGinn being an Aston Villa regular. I think he'll be on the bench at the weekend against Forest. And I think that if you want a captain, you need a name who's going to be on that team sheet for 38 games of the season. Hence why Emi Martinez is the vice captain. Kamara, for me, absolutely Rolls-Royce captain right in there. Give him the armband. Why not? Why not? And Crunchy, I'm with you. For once in my life, for a long time now, for a few seasons, I know that our club is being looked after in the right way. And so we have to believe that the owners have got this right. So I agree on that. By the way, people, just a quick one. If you haven't smashed the like button yet, then of course, please do so. We'd really, really appreciate it. So yeah, stories coming out about those two. As I said, let's not panic, but I am telling you now that we need to just realize that we could be losing a player that we absolutely adore, absolutely love. And there we go. Right. Talking points then from yesterday. Talk points. Josh, when are we going to see rival watch or hate alongs? It's like you've just read my mind. 100% I will be focusing on that for the top 4 run-in this season. I will be doing some Chelsea watch-alongs, some Newcastle watch-alongs on this channel to hate along. So I think they're going to come into fruition because, yeah, obviously Chelsea play Spurs tonight, but if that's what people want to see, if you want to see the running for the top four and you want to see some watch-alongs for that, then I'm more than happy to do that on this channel because I think it's important that we watch our rivals. So who would like to see some rival watch-alongs, please do let me know. And we'll absolutely do that because I need to be cussing out Chelsea. But yeah, let's talk about this then. So bad day. Bad night for officials. VAR, the 12 men that you face every week if they're not on your side. It's an absolute bloody disgrace. The reason I talk about bad night is because, of course, the PGMLO have come out and apologised for the Tarkowski tackle and said it should have been a red card on McAllister. Well, I want to know, where's the apology for Aston Villa? Is that big club bias again that they are saying this for Liverpool? I want to know 100% why does this tackle not meet the threshold of being a penalty? Because that is the reason it was not given. The reason why it was not given is because apparently it didn't meet the foul threshold. And I want to know why. I want to know why. If anyone can tell me that we are absolutely deluded, we are wrong, we are incorrect, then please do let me know because I am absolutely shocked. I am absolutely shocked at this decision. And luckily, it didn't impact the game. Luckily, it didn't impact the game, but it could have. And that's where I'm pissed. That's what I'm pissed off about. Is that this tackle could have absolutely 100%, 100% in the first half, a key moment where it would have changed the moment in the game, could have changed everything. How does that not meet the threshold? How does that not meet the foul threshold? Well, I'm telling you, the reason why that was not given as a penalty was because Hinshelwood was on a yellow. Because Hinshelwood was on a yellow card, I'm telling you that was the reason why a penalty was not given. And so many people have come out and don't understand it. Matthew Mullen said it was a penalty. Even ex-reference Sky said it was 100% and would love to see a rivals watch along. And VAR is, Fraser. The goats it absolutely is. And I made a joke last night about the VAR team at the Villa game. Both sets of VAR officials, by the way, love the Coutinho picture, Goatser. Love the Coutinho picture. Both VAR officials had glasses on. If you're on my watch along, you would have seen it. I was going mad. Both had a lovely pair of specs on. So we can't even use the phrase should have gone to Specsavers. Can't even use that phrase. Because they both had a lovely, expensive pair of glasses on. Well, I want to know how that is not a penalty. I want to know how it doesn't meet the threshold. I want to know what they've seen. They were even trying to find an angle. Of which is hilarious, of which they thought Hinchell would have won the ball first. Absolute fila de putas. That's all I can say. Big up to my man Meeks in the house. Hope you're well, Meeks. Hope you're well. What an AVFTS legend you are. And Michael said, even in the hard-hitting olden days of football, that's a pen all day, every day. I mean, the still image that VAR get to see that we're all looking at. What on God's earth did they look at and go, that's not a foul? I can't even try and find a reason. I'm actually trying to sit here, right? I'm trying to find a reason to say why I could see it not being a foul. I'm actually trying to do my hardest. I'm actually trying my hardest to find a reason why you could side with the VAR, and I can't. And it's exactly what Meeks has said. Nothing to do with the incident. Ref not being brave enough to use his reds. He didn't want to send Hinshelwood off. Correct. That said, that and the non-red card mode side, Darwin, not a good night for VAR or officials. It's just getting stupid. It's just getting stupid. That penalty for me just absolutely summed it up. And then what probably made me get even worse was how long did they take on that Matoma goal? How long did they take on that Matoma disallowed goal, which absolutely clearly hit his hands? He caught the ball Let's just put it in that perspective. He caught the ball, and they were doing everything they could to try and allow that goal. And that's what annoyed me. So, you know what? Nuts. Absolutely nuts. So yeah, Unai Emery, again, the use of his bench yesterday was emphatic, was incredible, was quality, and exactly what we want to see from Unai. The use of his bench for me was just beautiful. That's what I want to see from him. That's what I want to keep seeing. Yes, the first half of performances are slightly getting better, but if my manager knows that he's got his incredible squad on the bench and that he's using them to fruition and they are coming on and making a huge impact, then I'm my manager I trust. So there we go. Look at this stat I found about Asensio, by the way. 4 months and like 15 days away from 4 years. Fraser, Goetzer, my man, 4 years. You need, when you hit that 4 years, big party, big party. We have the best league in the world with the worst officials. Preach it. Absolutely preach it. And our bench is what is winning us games. Our bench is what is going to get us competing in the Premier League, FA Cup, and Champions League. Facts. Now, look at this beautiful stat. Look at this beautiful stat. Since his Aston Villa debut on the February the 9th, Marco Asensio has scored 8 goals in all competitions, more than any Premier League player. Essentially, Marco Asensio is the most informed player in the Premier League right now. Facts. Facts, facts, facts. Asensio is the most informed Premier League player, and I love that. And what I also love is Asensio in all competitions. Imagine if we get a return of 12 to 15 goals. That's not including his assists, by the way, but just goals. Imagine if we get a return of 12 to 15 goals from Marco Asensio this season. Damn. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So what do you make of that with Asensio and his impact? And you know, do you believe that actually Asensio could go on and be our top goal scorer? Could he hunt down Ollie Watkins in all competitions? Probably not. Probably not. I think Ollie's on 15 to 20 goals in all competitions. Let me just quickly check. Just let's be accurate here. Ollie Watkins stats. Ollie Watkins is on 13 goals in the Premier League. 1 in the Champions League. That's 4. 14. Jeez. So Ollie Watkins is on 14 goals. Asensio is on 8. It's not far behind him. 6 goals behind him. Imagine, especially with Ollie on the bench. Can happen. Big up to another AVFTS legend. That is Spicy Pricey. Big up to you, always supporting the channel on here. And big up. And in fact, everyone who's in this channel, you're all a bunch of legends. I really do appreciate you. And let's get to that 30 likes. We're 2 likes away. Hit the thumbs button if you haven't already. But yeah, I had an absolute shock all through the Premier League yesterday. I truly believe red card will be used free this week because of it. Hopefully it doesn't ruin our game. Yeah. Meeks isn't happy about Rodgers being out of position. And I'm 100% with you on that. You know it winds me up as well. It's either got to be Asensio or Rodgers. But even yesterday, you know, when Asensio came on, he played McGinn left, Asensio 10, and Rodgers right. I think Unai is telling us all that that's where Rodgers plays for the rest of the season. Oh, Fraser, that'll be scenes. That'll be scenes. And Asensio is just ridiculous. With Rashford as well, we just have the best transfer window that ever existed, 100%. Absolute limbs and scenes, Parisian tears if Asensio did that. Absolute Parisian tears. So, look, there's that stat on Asensio yesterday. But can we also just remind ourselves how good Brighton are? They came into this game on incredible form. Like, we're not actually, you know, messing around here when we talk about the fact that Brighton, Brighton for me were a side that I feared because of their form record. Not necessarily feared them because of who they are, but I looked at their form and thought, Jesus, how the hell do you beat a team like this? Yeah, and I want to find the stat quickly going into the magnitude of what Brighton was because of that. It was their form. It was their form that had absolutely. So here was one stat that I found interesting about Brighton before yesterday. Brighton have scored at least 2 goals in each of their last 5 league games. However, they have never done so in 6 successive top flight matches. So they were scoring for fun. and we killed their stat, and they've never done it. So I was like, yeah. So that was the first thing. We kept a clean sheet against that Brighton team who had been scoring in the last 5 league games 2 goals. So that was pretty emphatic. So they're not used to that. And yeah, but they did also leak goals, and I thought that was a really interesting stat about Brighton that we have to sort of be aware of. But yeah, look, the other thing again about yesterday, and we're going to go on to it quickly, is the Donyell Malen discussion, because my man Donny, my man Donny, that goal meant a lot to him, didn't it? That goal meant a lot to him. And this is what Unai said on him yesterday, by the way, after his goal. Because I know that Matty Parker said, have you changed your mind about Malen after last night? Look, maybe me saying that Malen definitely leave him is a tough one. I'm going to stand by it. And the reason why I stand by it is because I think the player will still not get the minutes he desires. And look what Unai said. Donyell Malen is gradually finding his rhythm after playing fewer minutes, but today's goal was fantastic for the team. Now, Unai right there is already sort of acknowledging that he isn't giving Donyell Malen the minutes that the player wants. And he talks about rhythm. And that is what Unai always talks about. Unai always talks about the need and must for a player to be rhythm, adapting, playing for the team, playing as a collective, and playing as an individual. However, what we do know is that Donyell Malen cannot surely be happy with 5-minute cameos appearances from now to the end of the season. And I think his goal was brilliant. I think we got a glimpse yesterday of what Donyell Malen can do. I think we got a glimpse of, his instinctive finishing. But I still don't see where this guy fits into the side. I still don't see how he starts, especially with Rodgers, and Bailey potentially in those wide right areas. It is a really, really tough one. And so when I say, do I think I've changed my mind? At the moment, still no. Unless I see Unai Emery go to him, hey, you're going to have a few starts, then potentially I can see his side of the camp kicking off. What I think the situation is that I think Aston Villa are quite happy to plod a Malen along like this and can feed him the narrative of, we want you ready for next season. It's whether Donyell Malen believes that. It's whether Donyell Malen believes that he is part of next season plans and that he will be a starter. And maybe, just maybe, Donyell will also be looking at who comes in, who goes out. And that is big, big decision that he has to make. So ultimately, I think the player has to decide, does he believe that he is part of the Unai Emery system next year? So there we go. But big up to everyone in the chat. As I say, keep smashing that like button. We're above 30 likes now. And as Michael has said, this is the membership. If you do want to become a member, it massively helps the channel out. And yeah, it's just £1. Absolutely exclusive emojis, badges, and just becomes an AVFTS clan legend as well. So yeah, Donny Malen. But look, the goal will mean everything for him. Question for the chat. Do we see Donyell Malen starting against Forest? And I want to know what people think of the Ollie Watkins situation. Has Ollie Watkins lost his place to Marcus Rashford? Because Unai said that when they signed Rashford, they saw him as a wide player, but also know he could do his job as a 9. Well, Unai has very much gone, hey, Marcus, you're a bit of my 9 at the moment. Fancy you as a bit of my 9, and has been playing him as that. And if Rashford starts as a 9 against Forest, which, by the way, Rashford came off quite early yesterday, bad signs for Ollie Watkins. And look at this comment from Unai here. He said, we must also support Ollie Watkins to compete with Marcus Rashford for the benefit of our team. Our next step could involve playing both together, depending on our squad. Dun, dun, dun. So, this to me says 2 things. To keep Ollie Watkins happy, Rashford needs to play wide left, Watkins as the 9, and then whoever you play as the 10 and the wide one. However, he's actually basically telling us that Rashford is actually keeping Ollie out of the team, and Ollie's got a bit of competition again. We've all seen the John Duran situation with Ollie Watkins, and now we're seeing it with Marcus Rashford. If this is the situation with Ollie, that he's now not becoming a number one starter, you may not expect to hear these words out my mouth, but is this the time you cash in on Ollie? While his stakes will still be high with other clubs outside the Premier League. Because remember, people don't watch Aston Villa. People go off recency bias. People go off what they think they know or hear or see in social media. They don't watch. So Watkins will still be highly regarded. Is this a situation where you cash in on Watkins, or do we believe that Ollie will be fighting for his spot, will be dismantling Marcus Rashford off the 9, and Ollie will go, right, back to normal business. I'm your number 9. You know, don't do that to me again. Let me play 5, 6, 7 games in a row. So, yeah, I want to know your thoughts on that. Exactly that. Watkins is behind Rashford now, I reckon. So Malen has no chance of starting, exactly, unless it's the wide right position. Fraser, fair play, Fraser, fair play. You're just living in a title wonderland as a Liverpool fan. Meek says, I think Malen's potential is high, Josh. The boy needs minutes. I think he's potentially in as preparations for Watkins leaving, which would make sense if he is in for that. But I'll go to it again. I think Aston Villa want to keep Malen. It's whether Donyell Malen wants to stay. Does he trust the club to give him minutes in the seasons to come? And my man Spicy, he said, Rashford left, Marco 10, Rodgers right, Ollie up front is deadly. We've rarely seen that combination, have we? We've rarely seen that combination. But when we did, it cooked. And I think that was a combination that I'm desperate to see again as well. So, listen, it's great that we've got these options. It's great that we've got competition. What's not great is the uncertainty of who we will have come next season. I know we've got to focus on now, and 100% you have, but football is never short term. Football is always long term thinking ahead. And when we're talking about the title in today's video of Kamara, of Rodgers, of Ramsey, the interest, we also don't know if Asensio and Rashford are going to be part of our squad. So it's really hard to do long-term planning sometimes or think ahead. But you also can't see past the next game. Personally, Unai Emery, myself, and you lot, we probably can't see past Nottingham Forest because we know that's another big game. So there we go. But we are going to wrap up because we want to watch the old dusty Spurs try and do something against Chelsea. Any points dropped from Chelsea tonight will be a bonus. We know how crap Spurs are. They don't win at Stamford Bridge in 34 years. But guess what? Anything can happen in football. And Chelsea are just frauds. So, yeah, let's see them drop out. But on the other hand, as I'm saying, you know, the Forest game is soon upon us. It's Friday tomorrow. And then before we know it, it'll be Saturday. And we're watching Forest at 5:30. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. As I said, we're trying to give you the daily live content around this time. I think it works best for everyone. And I appreciate the numbers and support. So do keep your notification bell turned on. Do smash a like and subscribe as always. And listen, I appreciate all your comments. So big up to the likes of Meeks, Michael, Spicy. Big up to Goatser, to Matthew Mullins. Big up to the Vamos VJ. Big up to... as well, Mum and Dad. Big up to Farmy, he's been in here. Of course, he's going to be watching Forest for the first time. And big up to anyone else crunching up cornflakes. Anyone else who's just been chilling or listening in the background as well. Yeah, big shout out to you guys as well. So, listen, enjoy the rest of your evening. I'll be seeing you very soon. That's the Villa news today. Great little discussion. As always, you lot are legends. Thank you for your support on this channel. It genuinely means everything to me. And I'm out of here, guys. Ta-da!